I froze. Not from shock. No. From realization. The puzzle finally made sense. My name is Marina Levitsta. I'm 35. I don't scream in hallways. I don't beg for fairness. I work quietly, think quickly, and see everything people try to hide. And that's exactly why I understood. This wasn't a mistake. It was a setup. It began a few weeks ago. A file that disappeared. A password that stopped working. Documents filled with errors I never made. And then, our team. A colleague who suddenly walked past my desk too often, came to work earlier than everyone else, watched my screen more than his own. Then came the remark at the meeting, coded in fake concern. Marina hasn't been very focused lately. And the office echoed it instantly. Maybe she's burned out. Maybe she needs time off. Maybe she's not keeping up anymore. Meanwhile, our team was somehow becoming the new favorite, praised for his ideas that sounded suspiciously familiar. The breaking point came when he presented my project, my structure, my calculations, my words. And now here I was, being escorted out of the company, while he stood behind me, smiling with that tiny, victorious smirk. It's nothing personal, Marina. It's just business. He really wanted me to crumble, but I'm not the kind of woman who breaks. I'm the kind that gathers silence like a weapon, sharp and precise. I picked up a small black flash drive from my desk, the only thing he failed to control. I walked into the executive boardroom without knocking. I have one request. Watch this video. The screen lit up with footage from the internal security cameras. Our team walking into my office at night, sitting at my computer, opening my files, copying them onto his drive, doing it over and over, day after day. The room grew so quiet, I could hear him swallow. Security arrived almost immediately. Our team turned pale, shaking, trying to speak, but no words came. His contract? Revoked. His access? Terminated. His reputation? Erased. And me? I was reinstated, promoted, and given an official apology, and a level of respect no one could hide anymore. I walked out calmly. Not fueled by revenge, not by triumph. Just by the simple knowledge, those who build their ascent on someone else's work always fall into the hole they dug. Quiet people are dangerous, not because they shout, but because they collect evidence, and they walk only through the doors they choose to open. After that day, the office changed. Not me, the office. When I walked through the hallway, people looked away. Not because they feared me, they feared the fact that truth now had a voice, and that voice was mine. They gave me a new office, a higher floor, more authority, more access. But with access came shadows. On the third day after my return, I noticed something strange. Documents I hadn't opened showed viewing timestamps, as if someone entered my profile but didn't touch anything, just watched. I called tech support. Calmly, as always. Check my account. Someone's inside. That's when they told me the one thing that turned suspicion into certainty. Marina, the access doesn't come from the office. It's external. External? Yes, from a private IP, and from 3 different cities. I understood instantly. Artem wasn't the mastermind. He was merely the first wave. Someone much higher hated that I survived their little game. That night I stayed in the office alone. Lights off, screen recording on, digging deep into system logs. 20 minutes later, I saw something that wasn't supposed to exist. A folder I never created, with a name I would never use. Shadow Archive. I opened it, and a cold line ran down my spine. Inside were files far beyond my department, full financial reports, sensitive contracts, unsigned agreements, and one section named Dismissal List Q3. I clicked. At the top of the list, my name. I wasn't fired because of Artem's stunt. I was marked long before. He was just the convenient weapon. Second name, my new director. Third, the financial chief. And the deeper I scrolled, the clearer it became. This wasn't the work of a group. It was the work of one person. Someone with access to everything. Someone who always stayed in the dark. Someone who had been watching us all. When I reached the end of the file, I saw the signature. 3 simple letters. VP Operations. I sat in the darkness, quiet, steady, thinking only, fine, if you want a game, let's play. Because I was no longer the Marina they tried to erase. I was the Marina who understood how their system worked, the Marina who survived the trap, the Marina who now saw the entire board. I didn't need drama, I needed evidence. And evidence is a language I speak fluently. They thought the story ended with Artem's downfall. They thought I would return to my desk and pretend nothing else was wrong. But they didn't know one thing. Before Artem left the company, he left a secret trail, a hidden file chain, a folder that couldn't be deleted, a file named simply Truth. I clicked Open. What I found inside that folder wasn't just evidence. It was a threat, a promise, a blueprint of everything they planned to do next. At the top of the document was a timestamp, dated 3 days ahead, a meeting scheduled in a private conference room, one used only by upper leadership, one I had never been invited to. But the agenda wasn't private anymore. Restructure Phase 1. Executive removal. Names were listed. People who had no idea they were about to lose everything. Careers, reputations, futures. My name appeared again. Underlined. Marked with one simple word. Critical. As if removing me was essential to the survival of their entire operation. I closed the file, leaned back in my chair, let the quiet settle in around me. They weren't just cleaning house, they were rewriting it. And now I knew exactly when the next strike would land. I stood up, walked to the window, and watched the city lights pulse in the distance. Every flicker felt like a countdown. If they moved first, they'd bury me. If I moved first, I'd expose them. There was no middle ground. Roman didn't look away. Even with security standing outside the CEO's office, even with my evidence on the table, he stood there in that glass room like he owned the building. I held his gaze for a second too long, long enough to let him know one thing. I see you now. The CEO's voice pulled me back. "Marina, come with me." We entered a smaller briefing room, no windows, just a long table, a screen, and 3 chairs. The CEO sat at the head. I took the seat to his right. Security remained outside. "Here's what happens next," he said. "We don't confront him yet. We watch. We listen. We verify how deep this goes." "I already saw how deep it goes," I replied. "Someone built an entire system for this, a shadow structure." He nodded. "I believe you, but believing and proving are 2 different things. We need to make this undeniable, for the board, for legal, for anyone he might try to manipulate." I leaned forward. "Then we make him tell on himself." He raised an eyebrow. "Explain." I glanced at the screen. Recordings can be dismissed. Files can be deleted. But a man like Roman, he doesn't trust anyone. That means somewhere he's keeping his insurance, his own archive, blackmail, leverage. The CEO studied me for a moment. "You think he has his own shadow archive?" "I'd bet my job on it," I said. "And his." Silence. Heavy. Calculating. Finally, the CEO spoke. "Fine. Tell me what you need." I didn't hesitate. "Temporary admin-level access. Limited, monitored, but deep enough to trace his account movements. And I need one person from IT I can actually trust." He gave a short, humorless smile. "I know exactly who that is." An hour later, I was sitting in a locked server room with a single other person. A woman in her 40s, hair pulled back, sharp eyes behind simple glasses. "Name's Elena," she said. "I'd been waiting for someone to notice what's been going on here." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "I've seen odd patterns for months, ghost access, data pulled at strange hours. But any time I raised it to Roman, he said it was system maintenance." "Did you believe him?" I asked. She snorted softly. "I believed my logs, not him." Good. I liked her already. We started tracing. Roman's account wasn't obvious. He was careful, smart. He used proxies and sub-accounts, temporary devices, external tunnels. But men like him always make one mistake. They never imagine someone like me will be looking at them this closely. "There," Elena said suddenly. "Hidden partition, encrypted, not company standard." On the server map, it looked like a dead zone. No label, no path. But it was there, buried under layers of false directories. "Can you open it?" I asked. She smirked. "Watch me." It took 23 minutes, 3 bypasses, 1 brute force decryption, and then the partition opened. Inside, there were no folders, just one file. No name, no extension, just a string of numbers. Elena frowned. Could be a container, could be compressed, could be a trap. I felt something tighten in my chest. Not fear, readiness. We copy it. Twice. One for legal, one for the CEO. And we never touched the original. As we duplicated it, a small notification popped up in the corner of the screen. Remote session request detected. Elena's hands froze. "Someone's trying to access this node," she whispered. "From where?" I asked. She checked. Her face went pale. "Here, from inside the building, from Roman's device." I exhaled slowly. He knows we're here. She killed the connection before it could attach, but the message was clear. This wasn't a race anymore. It was a confrontation. We secured the copied file on an offline drive. Elena slipped it into a metal case, locked it, and handed it to me. "If you're going to war with him," she said quietly, "make sure you don't lose this." When I stepped out of the server room, The atmosphere in the corridor felt wrong. Too still. Too quiet. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Another message. "You're smarter than I thought." I didn't reply. He wanted a reaction. I wasn't getting one. Instead, I walked straight to the CEO's office, placed the case on his desk. "This," I said, "is his insurance policy." The CEO looked at the case like it was a live explosive. "Is it safe to open here?" "Not yet," I answered. "We do it with legal, with compliance, with witnesses." He nodded. "Then I'll call an internal tribunal. Emergency session." He looked at me. "You'll be there?" "Of course," I said. He hesitated. "You realize, if we're wrong, if this isn't what we think it is." I cut him off gently. "Then I'll resign and walk out myself." He shook his head. "That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, if we're right, this will destroy him, and men like Roman don't go down quietly." I smiled at that. Almost. The tribunal was scheduled for the next morning. A closed-door meeting, only executives, head of legal, head of compliance, and me. That night as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I knew sleep wouldn't come. Not because I was scared, because my mind was too clear. Tomorrow was no longer about my job. It was about the company, about every name on that dismissal list, about everyone who never even realized they were collateral. In the morning, I dressed simply. Dark suit, no jewelry, hair tied back. There was no need to look powerful. Truth would do that for me. When I entered the tribunal room, Roman was already there, sitting comfortably, hands folded, expression calm. He glanced at me, eyes amused, and said, "Good morning, Marina. As dramatic as ever, I see." I took my seat, didn't look at him again. The CEO opened the meeting. "We're here to review serious allegations against our VP of Operations. We'll examine digital logs, financial anomalies, and one particularly concerning video." Legal began. Elena presented the access trails. Every login, every hidden partition, every pattern. Then came the video. Roman watched himself on screen, watched his own voice talking about removing me, using Artem, planning a cleanup. He didn't flinch, didn't protest, didn't even blink. When it ended, all eyes turned to him. Finally, he spoke. "This proves nothing," he said quietly. "Context can be manipulated, logs can be forged, footage can be edited. Anyone here could have created this if they had a reason to." His gaze slid toward me. "There is one person in this room who clearly does." The board members shifted in their seats. Doubt flickered, not belief, just the awareness that this was bigger than a single video. Roman continued, "Marina has been emotional since her near termination. Understandably, she's talented, but talent and stability are not the same thing." He said it so reasonably, so calmly, like he was worried about me. If I hadn't known the truth, I might have believed him. The CEO opened the metal case, placed the nameless file on the table as a printed report. "This," he said, "is from a hidden partition tied to your account, Roman. Care to explain?" Roman looked at it, still calm. "Anyone with access could have put it there." I smirked faintly. Not quite. All eyes turned back to me. I stood, walked to the screen, plugged in a second drive. "This," I said, "is a time-stamped recording of the moment we opened that partition and the exact second you tried to access it remotely." Elena played the logs, 2 streams, side by side. On the left, our session, forcing access into the hidden space. On the right, remote connection request from his device, from his office, at the same time. Roman finally shifted in his chair. His jaw tightened. "That could have been automated," he said. I met his eyes. "Then you automated your own downfall." The room fell silent, heavy, final. For the first time since all this had begun, he looked uncertain. And that was when I understood. He wasn't intouchable. He was just used to everyone else being too afraid to